Hello, hello, ladies. We are live for part 2 of the Should You Start a Business series. Going to hang out here a little bit and let some of you trickle on. And also hello, of course, to those of you who are catching the replay and couldn't be here live tonight. I hope you're all doing well. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hi, Pam. Thanks for coming on. So I'm just going to hang out here just a little bit longer, and then I'll start introducing what we're talking about tonight. And again, I know a lot of you watch the replays of this, so I really hope you've been enjoying this whole series and finding it valuable. Hi, Pam. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. Pam, I'm just going to give it a little bit more time just to see if anyone else wants to pop on and catch it from the beginning. So for those of you who are tuning in and, again, catching the replay, I definitely recommend checking out part 1 of this series from last week. So this is part 2, and next week we're going to top it off with part 3. Part 1 last week was all about how to break through those stories and those beliefs that keep us stuck from starting a business or taking our business to the next level. So fear of security, fear of failure, not feeling ready. So a lot of that mindset work we did last week. This week, we're going to be talking a little bit about practical tools and planning, how to set goals, what to do in your business to start it up. And part 3 next week is all about adopting more of what I call either a CEO or entrepreneurial mindset. So kind of combining mindset with actions next week. And I do want to say, as you can imagine, there's so much to cover. So today, my intention is to just go over some of the basics of practical tools. And I had put out in the group last week kind of the section with what are some of the things you want me to cover specifically. And I'll do that again this week. So for example, I'm going to touch very briefly on sales and marketing. And of course, there's so much within that. So for those of you who are watching live, catching the replay, you can just say can you provide more information on this? So I just want to put that out there. And like I said, the whole theme of the series is, and this can be for you if you're thinking about starting a business. So it's okay, should I start a business? If you have a business on the side and you're thinking, okay, I want to take it full time, how do I get that? Or if you're already a business owner, and hell, even if you're in corporate and you want to stay in a corporate job, a lot of the things we're talking about can be transferable. So it is open to everyone. And this week in particular, we're going to be talking more, how can you actually create a business and eventually transition to full-time? What are some of those a little bit more tangible, practical tools and systems and planning that you should be thinking about? And that's what the focus of today is. It looks like a couple more are popping on, so I'm just going to pause here. And to break down what we're going to talk about today, first, I'm going to go over what I like to call the "it depends" questions, where people ask me a question and I say, well, it depends. So I'm going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about setting goals and effective planning. And then just the basic processes and systems you want to have in place from the start. So keep it simple. And again, it's gonna be a high level overview, and we'll have more in-depth conversations that come out of this. Hi, Katie. Yay! So happy you're here too. And Katie, you didn't miss anything. I was taking it slow, just kind of giving the overview. I know you saw last week's, and I'll talk more about what next week's gonna be. So I have a couple of you on here. I know people will trickle in and out, and those of you are catching the replay. So let's dive in. Like I said, first for those of you on here, I know both of you, so I know where you're at with your businesses. But I guess if you have a pressing question that you really want me to address, feel free to pop it in the comments, and I'll be sure to address that as it comes up in the session. First thing I'm going to talk about are, like I said, the it depends questions. And this is when people ask me a question about their business, and my response is, well, it depends. So this can be these are real life examples, and these are all great questions, but I'll tell you why I don't answer them in a blanket way in a second. So someone asked me, should I have my student debt paid off before starting and launching a business? What are the specific things that I should have done before I go full time? What should I do for health insurance? What should I do financially to prepare myself? Like, how much should I have saved up? And the reason why I say it depends is because these are questions that depend on a lot of individual factors. And I do, with my one-on-one and group coaching clients, we do create plans around these specific questions. And it's not that I'm hiding the value from this. Like, I'm happy to share what you can do, but it's just very hard to answer that, to be able to tell you, like, you should pay off your student debt. I mean, there's so much that can go into that question, into answering that question. So I want to talk about this, though, generally, what you can do for these questions. And the first thing I will say is, if you are looking to someone to answer this for you, if someone is telling you, like, you should do this, I'd actually be cautious. I believe, and this is my 2 cents, this may or may not resonate with you, but I believe some of these personal questions regarding how you should build your business and where you should be at when before you do what, a lot of it depends on the individual. And I know when I was starting out, I asked a lot of people for advice who I probably like should have never asked for advice, because they probably weren't the best people. Like, they were operating on their own limitations and what I should do. For example, being told that I should get more corporate coaching experience before going full time, or I should have this much money saved up. I mean, just because it works for someone doesn't mean it works for you. So this is me giving you permission. Even the stuff that I tell you to do, always apply it through your own filters, because you are the best decision maker for you. So that's the first thing I want to say about these questions where I respond, oh, well, it depends on the person. I talked about this a little bit at the end of last week, which are bridge builders and bridge burners. And this literally came up in a conversation that someone said to me when they were talking about their journey to entrepreneurship. And I just love it, because you can do whatever feels right for you. You can be a bridge builder and really, slowly but surely build your business up on the side before going full time. Or you can be a little bit more of a bridge burner and you get to a certain point and then just go for it. I personally took a little bit more of a bridge burning approach. I think, and here's the thing, and tell me if this resonates with some of you watching. I think all of my life, we have who we are versus who we think we should be. For most of my life, I thought I should be the bridge builder and do things nice and neat, but truly who I am is a little bit more of a bridge burner. So embracing that mentality of how I started my business and how I conduct things was probably one of the best things I ever did. So tuning in with yourself. And with the transition here, I just want to give you just a couple of client examples to give you a sense of what this looks like. So I have a client right now, just launched her incredible business October. So last month. She had an amazing plan. So first, her plan, and are working together, she was like, you know what? I want to pay off my credit card debt before November. That's done. Now she has a specific savings goal in mind. So she has a full-time job that's flexible, which is great. So she has that bridge job while she's building her business on the side. And she goes, okay, I know I want to have this much saved before I go full-time. But here's the great thing about this. We have the number, and how we calculated it was this. Like, by March, she can hit that number if she doesn't acquire any clients in her business and just makes that in her full-time job. But we broke down the numbers like, okay, if you hit X number of clients and acquire this much money in your savings, you can go full-time by this date. So you see how that's a plan that really works for her. It has her goals in mind, all of her unique needs. And listen, this goal is not like, it's not like I have 2 years to build my business. No, it's a very reasonable goal, and you can do this too. And I'm going to talk about this more after. She, though, is out there like building her business. Like, she's not like, oh, I hope a client comes. Like, I'm going to talk more about that, the actions that we have to be taking, because a business is to be built. That's what they call it, building a business. Another client example, just to give you another different scenario. I have another client. She's building her business on the side of her full-time job, and she's married. Her husband is in school right now. So her plan is when her husband graduates in May, June, once he gets a job in insurance, that's when she's going to transition to full-time. So that works for her. That works on her terms. She's building up the systems, maybe isn't taking as much action as my other client is, but that's totally fine. So I'm just giving you just 2 different examples to show that you can do it. Everyone's going to have a different story. So for those questions around how much should I have saved up? What should I have done before I go full time? What should I do? Should I have student debt paid off? What do you want? What works for you? And it could also be helpful to interview talk to other business owners and get a sense, learning from what their stories, what they've done, to give you ideas. But it does not mean that you have to do something because someone else did it. What works for someone else might not work for you. So that's the first thing I wanted to touch base on, were those questions. Like I said, it really depends on the individual. Questions or comments around this? And again, like I said, these questions do depend on individualized factors, but if you do have a specific question, you can plug it in here and I'll do my best to answer if I believe I have the right person to be answering that question. Pam? Okay, awesome. Thanks for the thumbs up. Anyone else? It says that Terry and Christine joined, but it says I have 2 on here. I always get confused by the technology here. So if anyone else has a question, I know it's also delayed. So, Katie, the whole process for me is finding where my comfort level is in terms of having a financial safety net. Love it. Okay. I love that you're saying that. So it's like, okay, what do I need to feel comfortable in order to take that leap, right? Like, okay, is it $10,000 that I want saved up? Mm-hmm. I wonder if you ask yourself that, like, have you posed that question to yourself? Like, ideally, what would you like to have saved up financially before making a leap? Because you're right, that number is going to be different for everyone. And sometimes you're just asking yourself and seeing what comes up, because you might actually know, okay, I think it's this number, and trusting that and going with it. And also remember this, everyone, with the financial piece. Worst case scenario, with money, remember, like, you might have money saved up and let's say you go out on your own, you can always get a job. So that was actually, between all of us, that was a big thing for me that got me to take the leap, was when my coach, who I literally met at this point in my life, was like, Krista, you do know you could get a job if you fail. So that was a big thing for me with the financial safety net piece. So I don't know if that helps anyone. Just to put that out there, because sometimes I think we think that it's like, okay, I'm saving this amount and then I have to build all of this, and then if I don't do it, I'm not going to have any money. So, but definitely checking in with yourself. What is that number? What do you need to feel safe to go full time? So next, as a transition point, I want to talk about setting the right goals for you and planning. How to plan for all of this. Hi, Anne-Marie. First, before setting any goals, here's the first thing, because I see this a lot. Oh, Katie, I thought about how much I need to save before. Okay, sorry guys. I know I get so distracted when comments come in, so bear with me. I'm just reading Katie's comment. Okay. Katie, I see what you're saying. You're saying like, you've thought about how you need to save before I feel ready, but also, you know, emergencies happen. I could see a whole rainy day fund going towards something unexpected. So it's almost the concern of the unexpected, which that makes a lot of sense. And part of that is a what if, and part of that I will say, I would say that part of that can be addressed through perhaps having a couple of clients having your business generating some income before you go full time. Building that bridge might feel a little bit more supportive to you. But also keep in mind the what ifs will always be there as well. Because what if, I mean, anything could, I mean, knock on wood, anything can happen in life. And it's not necessarily, you don't, sometimes that can keep us stuck from moving forward because of that risk of the uncertainty. But then we end up sacrificing what we want in some way. So, and this is a good transition to the goals and planning. Before you even set a goal, and this is something I see women fall into a lot, is 1 foot in and 1 foot out. When you're like, I think I want to start a business, but I don't know. Like, the first thing there is deciding. And I'm not saying, again, like, you have to then quit your job today. Deciding, is the business the direction you want to go in? Is it capable? Like, do you want to go full time with your business, or whatever that thing you're going back and forth on? Deciding that you're going to make it happen, and then setting the goals. I say this because if we set goals and we're wishy-washy, we're like, oh, I could do this or I could do this. How successful and committed are we really to executing that? Not really. So first, it's deciding to decide, whatever that decision is, and owning that decision. So we're going to go, since, you know, this is all about starting a business, with, let's say you decide, okay, I do want to be a business owner and I want to do it full time. Now, setting your goals. What's the goal? What do you want to achieve? Maybe it's you want to go full time in your business in 6 months. What does that goal actually mean and look like? So what does it mean to go full time? So then it's looking at, okay, this means I'm going to have this saved. I want to have this many clients. I want to be doing this in my marketing. Like, what does that mean to go full time? Maybe you just, and I'm just using this as an example, your goal, it can be whatever that goal is. We know SMART goals. You want it to be specific, measurable, action-oriented, time, whatever the T is, results and time, whatever the SMART goal formula is. But really getting clear, like, what does your goal look like? What does it mean? And then evaluate the actions you must take to get there. And you want to break your actions down. So let's say you have a 6-month goal to go full time with your business. Create 2 90-day plans. And then looking, okay, what are you doing in those 90-day plans? And we'll talk more about processes and systems in a second, but what are the consistent actions that you are going to be taking to achieve that end result? So if you want to save $10,000 in 6 months, and have 3 clients by then, like that would be considered going full-time for you. Okay, what are you going to be doing to acquire 3 clients? Break that down. Okay, so your marketing strategy, let's say your marketing strategy is offline. So you do speaking engagements and networking. Okay, so how many speaking engagements do you want to do? Are these the right audiences for you? How many networking events are you going to go to a week to build relationships? How are you going to follow up with the people that you meet and build relationships with them? You see, like getting really, really specific on what those are. And having times to evaluate your progress. And that's why I say those 2 90-day plans. 90 days is a great time to see if a strategy is working and to pivot and to adjust. From there, so you have your broader goals. Let's say it's a 6-month goal. You have your 2 90-day plans with those goals those targets that you need to hit during each 90 days to get to the 90 plus 90, 180 days of 6 months. Then you want to create a system for planning out your month, your week, and your day. In order to get there, what are your monthly goals? So reflecting on your progress from the month before, and then adjusting your specific goals for the month and what you're going to be working towards. And then you use that to then plan out each week before the week. Okay, what am I doing this week? And then the night before each day, you sit down, you look at your weekly list and you write out, okay, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. These are the things I'm going to be crossing off my list. So you don't have to necessarily do that exactly, but because you want to have a system though in place that is keeping you accountable, things that you're doing automatically, because it is the consistency that is going to take you to where you want to go. Consistent action. And here's the thing with goals. I know sometimes goals can trip us up. A goal is not there to you must achieve this or you're not good enough. Sometimes we can look at goals in that way. I want you to look at the goal that you're setting is there to give you guidance on the actions that you have to take to get there. Because if you want to go full-time with your business in 3 months versus 6 months versus 2 years, the actions you're taking are going to be different, right? So look at it at that way, that to determine the action and to also to give you a learning point, to give you a place, okay, if you don't achieve that goal, okay, what happened? What do you need to pivot? What do you need to adjust? So I just want to reframe, because sometimes I say this with my clients, goals give them anxiety, and I used to fall into that trap because I was for me as a recovering overachiever, achieving goals was like my sense of self-worth. So if you fall into that category, reframe that and just look at goals as a way to guide you on how to move forward. It's the target that you're moving towards. And with all of this, ongoing is continuing to track your progress. That is very, very important to be reflecting as you go on. Something else as you're setting goals and making these plans is I teach the 5C framework. And I think, Katie, you know this. You've been where I've taught this before. This is, I like to think of this as the 5 C's to building habits and goals that are going to set you up for success. I'm just going to go over them quickly. I do a whole workshop on this, and maybe I'll do this. If you guys would like, I can do it live in the group. So the 5 C's: clarity. What are you achieving? Why? Like we were saying, what does this look like? What getting crystal clear on what you're moving towards and why it's important to you. You have to be bought in on it. So clarity. Next is consistency. What are the consistent actions to get there? And if you're wanting to, let's say in 6 months, you want to go full-time with your business, you're not going to set yourself up for success if you're occasionally submitting a blog post, occasionally going to a network event. It's the consistent actions. And I'll talk more about this next week in the CEO mindset one, but you have to show up even when you don't get results yet, because business, and I would say success in life, it's a long-term game. So continue being consistent even when there's not results there yet. I'm saying, like, if after 90 days you're like, maybe something's not working, okay, that's where the evaluation and the tracking the progress comes in. But that consistency is key. Clarity, consistency. Next is commitment. And commitment is that it's a showing up when you don't feel like it. It is being like, what is a 10 out of 10 committed to your goal? It's going to be doing things that stretch you, investing in yourself in some way. Like there's committed versus convenient. And I will share that until I started my business, I didn't realize how much I was a person that operated out of convenience. You would think from the outside I was very committed, but building a business for me is what took me to committed. So keep that in mind with your planning. What is a 10 out of 10 on the commitment level, and how are you going to hold yourself accountable to that? 4 in the 5C framework is courage. And it's courage. It's courage to stretch yourself, to show up at an event where you don't know anyone, to reach out to someone who might benefit from your services and say, hey, could we, I'd love to chat with you. Can we have an initial, conversation? Makes you nervous, but you do it anyways because it's serving that greater vision. So courageous actions. And then the 5th piece is it's important to keep in mind is compassion for yourself. It can be easy to beat yourself up when you're starting a business and wanting certain results and feeling like maybe people don't understand or whatever that is. Really be compassionate to yourself. You're going to make mistakes, experience some rejection and some failure, and it's okay. It's part of the process. So those 5 C's, keep those in mind when you're planning your goals and doing your planning. I'm going to pause here again. And then just so you know, next I'm going to be talking a little bit more specifics with the processes and systems that you should incorporate into your planning. So a little bit about marketing, sales, market research I'm going to talk about. But questions for those of you, questions or comments? Okay. And those of you catching the replay too, if you have specific comments or questions, you can leave them here or send them to me direct message. I will answer all of your questions. Next, the processes and systems that you want to put in place from the start. And this is probably where we're going to break out with separate trainings and resources because it's a lot. I'm just covering it just really on the surface level. So first is, Katie, clarity is going to be the hard one. Thank you for sharing that. Sorry guys, I went back to the comments whenever I see a comment. I just get so excited with the live interaction. So clarity is going to be the hard one. And I'm curious, Katie, what would have been your specific clarity challenges? And something that came up with another, someone else in the group, kind of like you have the ideas of the vision, but what really is that vision of what you want to create in your business? And I'm wondering if that's what you're alluding to. And now I'm going to go back to what I was saying, and then Katie, when you respond, I'll take an appropriate break to respond to it. So processes and systems you want to put in place from the start. So first is knowing, okay, what's the service and product that you're offering? What is it? What is the problem you're solving? Who are you solving the problem for? And this is just market research right there, is understanding what is that? Like, and to give you some examples, so when I started, I'm going to use me as an example because I want to say this, sometimes people are like, you want to be so clear on your niche from the start, like niche, like who you're specifically serving, your ideal client. I would say it depends. For me, and I think for a lot of people, your ideal client and who you want to serve evolves over time. So when I first started out as a coach, I knew I wanted to serve women and doing like some type of career, life, leadership coaching. You hear me say like, love your job or leave it. That didn't evolve until I've been working with women for a while, because I realized I was helping them really get clear on what they want and define their next steps forward. Now you hear me I do a lot of business coaching now, because a lot of my clients, through getting clarity, are starting and launching their own businesses. So I want to say it evolves over time. And when I first started out, I guess I had a somewhat general idea, but it was through talking to people, getting a sense of what their problems were, that I was able to better speak to them in my programs and in coaching, and how coaching could solve their problems. So with market research, again, this doesn't have to be, let's say you have an initial idea. I'm going to use a client example right now. She is, her consultancy is doing, helping, she believes nonprofits are her ideal client, but she's open to others, but helping organizations with their systems, their data systems, and helping them clean up their data so that they can be more efficient. And she says it much better, much more eloquently than I do. But this was first an initial idea. And she said, I think I want to help nonprofits. So she started talking to people who would be her ideal clients, people who worked, and started asking them. She's rolling out this survey now. Like, what are the key challenges you're facing in your systems management? How is this impacting your business? So understand, okay, like what's the detriment there? Like how, maybe the systems, they aren't working right, but what's that costing the client? Then looking at, okay, ideally, how would you want your systems to function? What would that do for your business? So understanding, okay, she has her consultancy to help people with this. What are the problems that they want solved? How can she then develop her, her service, pivot it to solve those problems and give them the outcomes that she's looking for? Does that make sense? Like, I'm giving it to you as simple as possible with your market research, because that's going to help you then adjust your service, adjust your program. And remember too, like I said with my example, it's always going to be evolving. And we'll talk about this again on the CEO mindset thing next week. Sometimes it's starting before you're ready. And I want to share this. I was going to talk about this after. But part of this, as you're doing market research, defining your programs, knowing the problems you're solving, sometimes, here's my thing with test clients. So sometimes if you're very new to what you're doing, you might want to have a couple of free clients at first to test out what you're doing and build your confidence. Now, I say this depends because I want to give you two examples. For me, when I first started out coaching, I took on a couple of free clients because I was new to coaching. It helped me build my confidence, test out what I was doing, and see that I could produce results. Now, if you're a graphic designer in your full-time job and you want to break out and do graphic design on your own, I would never say take a free client, because you know how to do graphic design. Like, it's already there. Or one of my clients right now, she's only taking on 2 test clients. One for one of her programs and one for the other, just to see how the process works. But she's a branding coach, so she has experience doing all these things. She just wants to see how it goes through and then get some testimonials for them. So I want to say that as you're doing your market research, putting your program together, don't hesitate if it would help build your confidence to test things out, to take on a free client or two, or how many you need to feel confident. And again, like I said, it depends where you're at. Okay. And with all of this, with your market research and program design, this is also helpful for you to articulate what you're doing, your messaging, and speaking in your client's words. Whew, that's a whole other ordeal, being able to speak in a way that your ideal client understands. And that's where market research can come in, to actually understand like what is the pain they're feeling as from their problems, and how you can solve them to get them the results that they want. If there's any questions, please chirp in and I will get to them. So keeping that in mind as you're generating your goals and your planning. Next, your revenue generating activities, because we don't have a business if we don't have revenue, right? And this is not to say like, if you're a month one of your business, I'm not saying you don't have a legit business because you don't have revenue yet. I don't know. I don't like it when people are out there like, you're not making money, you have a hobby. No, sometimes it takes time to get going, and that's normal. So revenue generating, what are your marketing and sales systems? And I think I remember when I was starting out hearing like, what's a sales funnel? Or system, like what is a marketing system? This came up in a session with a client. I love how she said it. She goes, the sales and marketing journey. Love that. This is my client who's the branding coach. So she comes up with the good stuff. So sales and marketing journey. So think of it like this. First, your ideal clients, where are they? Offline and online. How are you going to connect with them and bring them into your world? Offline, are you going to offer workshops? Are you going to go to networking events? Online, are you going to engage on social media? Going to share with your online and offline communities what you're doing. So think about how you're going to meet people, like initial touch point. How are you going to connect? So let's do an example. I'm going to use myself as an example here. A lot of you have met me through workshops that I've done, doing workshops for other organizations. That's a way that I meet people who may be interested in coaching. I go to offline networking events. I also now have, the Facebook community, but I'll get to that. That's actually the next step in the process. But literally, where are you going and meeting people? And even when you're meeting people, it doesn't have to be it doesn't even have to be someone that's your ideal client. Because like I said, it's the long game. So just building relationships, offering to help others, telling people what you do, because you never know who might need your services down the line, or they may know someone, or they may know an opportunity that would be like, they might offer a speaking engagement to you for their friend's business, where you then go in and then you meet a client. So I want to say, like with lead generation, leads of people you're meeting, it might not even just be ideal clients, just people that you're building your network with. So thinking about how you're going to do that. The next step is then, how are you going to engage the people that you meet? Do you have a newsletter, a blog, a freebie on your website to opt in? Do you have my Facebook group, right? My meetup group. And these are places where people can get to know you and get to know you. You offer them value. They get to learn more about your services. So what I'm saying here is there's so many ways you could do it offline, online. But really, to break down the journey, it's meeting someone, introducing them to your circle, what you have to, building the relationship, thinking of it as dating, right? Think of it as the dating process. And then from there, sales revenue, it's then, the next step. As you're building relationships, asking someone if they want to explore what your service is, putting your selling, sales, that's another thing we'll talk about, but making offers, selling to people once you've built the relationship. And no, sales is not icky. And we can do a whole other Facebook Live on this, but sales is not, I know sometimes we feel like, oh, sales. Sales is simply like, it's sharing how you can help someone else and helping them get clear on if they want to participate in your program, service, or whatever it is. Okay? So revenue generating activities, getting clear, like, and if you're like, for example, if you're going to be going to networking events, like offline networking events, perhaps your goal is to go to 2 events a week. And then have a follow-up system. All the people you're meeting, perhaps you send a follow-up note to them and you ask them if they want to connect further. And again, even if they're not like an ideal client, you don't even really know yet at this point. But I also recommend, like, I have a Calendly link. Like, hey, would love to do a video, a virtual coffee with you. Build the relationship from there. Can I add you to my newsletter? See? So thinking about what are those activities to build those relationships. Does that make sense? And questions? The final piece here with like the processes and systems, I talked about your planning system, be consistent with your planning. And then also, what are you doing for yourself, your well-being and your mindset and your education? Because you're going to be learning a lot how to build a business. Like, where are you putting in that time for you? How are you accessing the information that you need to know? How are you investing in yourself? What are your wellness and mindset practices? Because with all of this strategy, strategy is important. Mindset, if your mind isn't there and it's like, when we operate from a place of, like crazy and stress, we're not as successful. So having practices in place for your mindset are super, super important. And I talked a little bit about that last week, and I'll talk about it more this week. Okay, now tuning in here. Okay, Katie. So you were saying earlier, clarity is the heart. So back to what, so that's what I have to say there. I'm going to turn over for questions. So turning the vision into a real actionable game plan. Okay, and I recommend, so it sounds like you're clear on what you want, but it's like how to get there. Which this is where I recommend, and I recommend anything here. If you're someone who's thinking about it in your head, you want to be writing all of this down as you're planning and whatnot. Like, okay, this is my goal. What does it look like? And getting it all out on paper, because sometimes we get too stuck in here. Okay, I love, Kate, what you're saying here. Having a dedicated Facebook group or blog or other online communities seems to be a common approach right now for businesses. Seems to be exhausting. Having to keep up with an online community feels more like a full-time job. I'd love to hear more feedback from others on what online strategies have worked for you. So I will say, actually, the online community, it's actually not as much work as you think, and you can make it work on your own terms. So I want to say that, like, you can decide, I'm spending this much time a week to doing this. And if you time chunk, so here's another planning strategy. If you're like, okay, I'm just going to film all the videos that I'm posting in my group right now and bang it all out, you can do that. I tend to be I time chunk for certain things. I tend to be sometimes a little spontaneous. Like I said, I'm kind of a bridge burner, like, woo. So I tend to be a little more spontaneous, but there are certain things that I do time chunk because, like, especially like writing. So I want to say that it's actually not as much work as you think. Regarding other online strategies that work for people, I know you can go into, so just talking online, you can join groups online. So other people's Facebook groups, Girl Boss is an online community, and start building relationships, sharing some value in there, and start building relationships with people that way. I am going to say, here's the thing. I will say this. But with any online strategy, there has to be consistency. So yes, maybe a blog, if you find blogging, like writing, to take too long, maybe that's not the right fit for you. I switched to doing video because as much as I love writing, when I was in grad school, I was burnt out from writing. So that's why I do a lot more video now. So looking at what works for you, what is the best, like, what's your zone of genius? If someone in here, if you're a fast writer, you work in communications and you can bang out those blog posts, yeah, go ahead. Let that blog be your approach. But if you're someone who maybe that isn't your strong suit, you want to get out there on video, you can look at it from that way. So I realized I just went on a tangent there. So Katie, other online strategies, like I said, going into other people's groups, sharing input, like commenting on on LinkedIn, like being in the online communities where your ideal clients are and building relationships, adding value, commenting that way. Social media, that though is you have to be sharing stuff on social media. And I know the type of business that you want to start. So your people are going to be on LinkedIn. So it would be helpful, even just short excerpts. And all you have to do is maybe share 2 blogs a month. So you don't have to have a whole online community. And then people that are interested, you could have a freebie on your website that people share their email to opt in, and then have a newsletter that you roll out every couple weeks. So there's a lot of ways that you can go about it. Is that answering your question, Katie? And I would also say, Katie, you can also do offline as well if you would like to, like combining offline with that, like going to 1 to 2 events a week and building relationships that way. But everyone here, don't burn yourself out by going to too many coffee dates. Virtual coffees. Set up a Zoom or a call, and it cuts out that back and forth time. So that's something I practice regularly, just because it's a lot having to go meet someone and run all over the city. I also find that you can more easily not cut off, but I'm a talker. So if I'm in person with someone, I lose track of time. But if I'm at my computer on a phone, I'm more mindful of the time limit. So that's another tip there to kind of work on the time. Okay, good, Katie. I'm glad that was helpful. And we can talk separately as well. That's what I'm saying, like there's infinite possibilities, but keeping up with that general theme. So connecting with others, how you want to deepen the relationship with them, and then those next steps forward. Are there any other questions from anyone? I realize we're at about 45 minutes here. It's crazy how fast this goes. I'll talk as if anyone's adding questions. So another thing that we're going to talk about in this group, which applies to this, is how to make the right decisions for ourselves. Because I think sometimes we get caught up, like, how do I decide? In a way, I guess that's somewhat what my brand is about, is making those decisions that are going to propel you forward, like loving your job or leaving it. So if anyone who's watching this, even the replay, if you would like a support around that, like how to make the right decisions, definitely let me know. Next week, for part 3 of this series, we're going to be looking at how to shift from perhaps a traditional corporate mindset to more of a CEO entrepreneurial mindset. And I would say this is really, even if you don't want to start a business, this is great, because it's talking about just key principles to really lead your own life. So for example, in business, how to get over the attachment for instant gratification to switch to the long-term gain. How to be decisive as the CEO of your life and your business. So talking a little bit about the decisions there. How to reframe failure. I know we talked about that on the first one, but looking at that even more. And looking at those different ways to think and behave. Another big thing is something that's important for entrepreneurial success, which we'll talk about, is being able to kind of act quickly and getting over that feeling like we always need more training, more learning, realizing and feeling like you're never ready. Sometimes just going into action, that's the best thing you can do if you're building a business. And thoughtful action, but not waiting too long. So this is just a preview. I still have to write out the content. I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head of what we'll be talking about. But that will be either next Monday or Tuesday. I keep you all posted. And as we're wrapping up here, what did I want to share? Okay, 2 things I want to share. So first, I'm also going to share in the group one of my friends who is a financial teacher. I'm going to post a blog from her, which talks a little bit more about how to make the right financial decisions for yourself to lead the life you love. So I'm going to share her info in the group, and she could be a person to connect with when talking about some of the financial stuff here, like more of like what you would go to like a financial advisor for versus a coach for. So I'm going to put her in the group as a resource. She is incredible. Her name's Kimberly Hamilton, Be Worth Finance. I will say, I only recommend people if I truly see the value in what they're doing. I don't just throw it out there. So I truly she's incredible. She's smart. She's savvy. So I want to put that out there for all of you. And then second, this is related to us in the group. So some of you may have seen that the applications are open for the 2020 cohort of the Lead the Life You Love program. And to give you a sense of what we're going to be doing in this program is kind of looking at the Should You Start a Business series. Some of these things we're talking about, and it's not just for people who want to start businesses, it's also for corporate women. But think of all of this, but on a more individualized level. So you'll be able to get the support and the coaching around these specific questions that you have. So that's the biggest way I can paint that analogy for you. So we're going to be doing mindset work, strategic action work, and then how to step into that role in your life to lead the life you love, whether it's launching your business, stepping into that leadership role, whatever that is for you. So if you want to learn more, I want to make this clear. I put this in my newsletter this week. The application process is no obligation. So I'll put the link here after, but all you have to do is complete the application. If I think you're a right fit for the program, we'll then set up a call to discuss all the details and help you decide if this is the right program for you. So I will leave that, let's see, I'll leave that here, but I'll also be posting about it in the group so you have information. So here, I'll put the application though directly here. Okay, I think that worked. Okay. Any final questions? Before we head off? And of course, for those of you watching the replay and those of you even on now, if you have questions that you forgot, you can send me an email, send me a private message. I love to support you in any way that I can. Okay, well, ladies, I hope you all have a fantastic night. Stay tuned for more information about everything I shared here, as well as part 3 of the series next week. So thank you for tuning in. Oh, you're welcome, Katie. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I love doing this. You're welcome, Pam. Thank you for tuning in. Okay. Bye, ladies.